some of the things that I consider to be sort of must-dos in my parties. I do want to, before I get started, just say that Gina did such an amazing job with her recruiting presentation. She touched on a lot of what I was also going to talk about with recruiting, so I'm going to try not to be too redundant with that as we get to that part of it. So just wanted to preface saying that first. So here we go. Let me see if I can get this to work. Page. Is it page up or page down? Page down. There we go. All right. So number one is hostess coaching. Okay. So as we all know, with doing a party, without your hostess, you don't have a party, right? I mean, that's what it is. And so with coaching your hostess, you really want to bring her in from the beginning. Your hostess being excited and involved is what is going to be the difference between an amazing party or a flop. And I really like this quote: effective leadership coaching can happen on the dance floor of conversation. And so when you're coaching your hostess, you really need to think about it as leading her, explaining to her how things are going to work. You want her to follow your lead. One thing that I find crucial is having a hostess coaching video. How many of you guys have a video that you send out to your Facebook hostesses? So not very many. Okay, that's one thing that if you only make one video, this is the video to make. In my hostess coaching video, I send this to my hostesses within 24 hours of them booking their event. Of course, I do reaching out to past customers or to friends and family, but probably the majority of the bookings that I get on Facebook are going to come during a party. And so a lot of times I'm going to confirm that party right then and there, that evening, as I'm going to confirm that booking as the party is finishing up. So as soon as she and I have settled on the date and the time, I'm going to send her a little blurb that tells her, I'm just confirming that this is when we're going to have your party, this date and this time, and here's a little video to get you started on the hosting side of things. And I'm careful to put a little blurb in there that says there's no need for you to do anything right now, unless her party is coming up within a week or less, because that's when I start getting the party prep ready. And the reason I do that is because I have never had this happen, but I do know people who have. The hostess is just gung-ho, and she goes ahead and creates her own event and starts inviting her friends before, and I'm like, wait a minute, we've got like 3 weeks until your party. It's not time yet. So in the video, not only do I tell her that I'm gonna give her the language, I'm gonna let her know how things are gonna go for the party, but I also let her know the thing that, as you all probably know, makes UBAM different. We're not going to mass invite people to this event. This is going to be an exclusive event that is just for your friends and family who really want to participate. And that is what is going to make your party successful. I also let my hostess know that if she can get 25 yes RSVPs, which will show in the counter on your event as 27 because you and the hostess are both included in that, then I'm going to give her choice of a $9.99 activity pack of cards. And that is something that I'll use when I close out her party. I let her know that it's when the party closes, and I use one of the incentive categories. And the reason I do that is because having that number in her head to shoot for the 25 yes RSVPs puts you in a position to have as successful a party as possible. Now, of course, you can certainly make exceptions. I do not always have hostesses who end up with 25 yes RSVPs or who even end up inviting a total of 25 people, but that is the number that I want her to have in her head, because that is what is going to help make that event as successful as possible. I also let her know that we're not going to invite any more than 50 people, okay? I let her know that I'm going to give her the language to send for inviting, that I'm going to give her tips for how to interact with her party, and that she just needs to sit back and relax, and I will get back in touch with her 1 week before the party date. When we get to that week, I contact my hostess to let her know we're going to get started, and this quote about conversation is crucial, that you have a dialogue with your hostess and that you're communicating with her every day leading up to the party. You want to make sure that she stays involved on the event page, and you want to make sure that she doesn't forget, what's going on. This is also important because when you get to be about 3 or 4 days out from the event date, that's when I offer my hostess the business opportunity. I let her know that if she wants to join, she can turn this into her kickoff party. And I'm no longer in my incentive period, and so if you're no longer in your incentive period, this is a great way to recruit, because you can let her know that if she decides to join, she only has to get $250 in sales to get those double free books, which are always going to trump our monthly special. And so that is a really great recruiting tool. If your hostess decides that she wants to join, there's a couple of different schools of thought about what to do. Should you hand off the party to her and let her run it on her own? Of course, you'll be there to help her and answer questions. Or should you run it for her? However, she's going to still get the commission and the bookings. I've done it both ways. The first time I had a hostess decide that she wanted to join, I handed everything off to her, and it did not go well. Now, I gave her all the same tools that I give to all my new recruits, and for whatever reason, the party went on way too long, she didn't have a lot of sales, and it just kind of set a bad tone. In January, I had a hostess decide she wanted to join. And for the first time I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this for her. I use a post scheduler, and I already had it all set up. And I decided I was gonna run it for her, but I was gonna use her consultant link for her party so that she was gonna get the commission. Of course, she would get the bookings regardless. And it went amazingly well. She went success bound in her kickoff party. And she is now working on month 2 toward Express Success promotion to team leader. Now, I'm not saying that's always going to happen, but just my personal experience has been that giving your new recruit that little extra oomph that she might need can really set the tone for her whole business. And so, yes, that $1,000 that she had in her kickoff party, I lost that $250 in commission, but I gained a success-bound recruit who is on fire for this business because she had such an amazing kickoff. And that is worth everything in terms of, for my business and for her business, I think it was a worthwhile investment. So that's just a little thing I wanted to share. All right, so, I think I might have gone 2 slides I didn't need to. Know your audience, okay. So you guys have probably seen some of these graphics before. This is one of the first posts that I really encourage you to make in your party. If you don't already, you probably do, but this is crucial for getting to know your audience and being able to communicate with them and interact with them on a personal level, because Facebook can be a very impersonal medium to try to connect with people. And if you can get a feel for who these people are, who they're shopping for, what they're interested in, and if you can communicate with them, I found it to be a little bit of a time suck to make personalized wish lists, but if I have a party that's just really not having any interaction, I'll make personalized wish lists for the guests. And that a lot of times will bring in a lot of interest because sometimes our website can be a little bit overwhelming if people aren't already familiar and don't really know what they want to look for. So that can really give people a place to start. But also encouraging people to make their own wish lists and share them. Not only does that give you an insight into who your guests are, but also the other guests will look at those wish lists and get ideas for what they might want for their own children. And as consultants, part of what we do, part of what we offer that, Learning Express or Barnes & Noble don't offer is the opportunity to be the personal shopper for your guests. And that's really important and really can drive your sales. Making it personal. Okay, this has already been touched on several times today, but this is definitely something that is important in Facebook because, as I just said, it can be impersonal. These are all my kiddos. I make it a point to share pictures of my kids in my parties because they're not stock images. The people see that these are your kids enjoying their books at home, and bring it into their lives and think about the children that they are going to be buying for, and imagine these smiles on their kids' faces or their nieces and nephews or whomever. One thing that I find, even with my personal friends and family, is that because there isn't that personal interaction, they can even sometimes think when I make a business post that I'm just kind of looking to make a quick buck or something, you know, and they sort of gloss over it. This picture here on the upper right-hand corner, I don't know if all of you can see it because it's kind of in the wrinkle of the sheet. That's my 6-year-old daughter reading Nibbles, and that is completely candid. I was at my computer, this is in my office, and my back was to her because the computer desk is against the opposite wall. I was actually working on my business. And I happened to turn around and there she was, and I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture, and I have had a tremendous jump in sales of Nibbles because I post that picture in every party ever since I took it. Kira saw it, and someone from Kane Miller asked to post it on the official Kane Miller page. I posted it on my personal page and just had an overwhelmingly positive response because people see this as real life when they get to actually see real kids that they know or that belong to someone that they know enjoying these books. I also want to say, if you don't have kids of your own, this doesn't mean that you can't put in any type of a personal effect to your parties. I have downlines who do have children but who aren't comfortable showing their faces in a public event, or well, it's not a public event, but with people that they don't personally know. And so I actually have one downline who will post pictures of her kids, either such as I have right here with my 6-year-old where you can't see their face, or from the back where you can only see the back of their head, but then you can see either the cover of the book or the inside of the book in front of them. You know, also just post maybe testimonials from your past customers, or if you have photos of relatives, you know, nieces or nephews, and you have permission to share those, or if a customer has a photo that they've given you permission to share, that's always a great way to bring that in too. Keeping it fun, okay, this is really important as well. So I make it a point, unless I have a party that's kind of getting a late start, I really don't post more than once a day in the event because I want to keep it fun, but I don't want it to become overwhelming or annoying. That's really important. Anything more than 2 posts a day, especially if I do 2 posts, I do 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, but anything more than 2 can really sort of, not only can it start to bother people because of the notifications, but it can also set up a red flag to the Facebook police who might think that you're spamming. So it's important to keep that in mind. These are some examples of some games that you may have seen. These were put up, I'm not sure if they were put up on the leaderboard or not, but they were shared for public use. So if you even just Google UBAM games, this is where I actually got these from Rachel Vincent Day, who is a leader, but she did not create them, but they were shared for public use, general use. So this is a great way just to have a little fun in your parties, to get people thinking. Some of the games redirect them to your website, so that gives them an added bonus of sort of searching and navigating the site and getting used to using it. I also will often make my games personal. I have a couple of pictures of my kids that I use. I have a picture of my 6-year-old holding the step-by-step drawing book. And I will tell people that she loves to draw and that this is a great book. It has lots of room for her creativity. And can you guess which is her favorite animal she has learned to draw? A cat, a rabbit, or a mouse? Guess below. Whoever gets the first correct guess gets 10 extra entries in the grand prize drawing. I have another photo of my 8-year-old reading illustrated stories from Shakespeare. And I offer that up as a game saying, Usborne, my daughter's an advanced reader, but I knew that she wasn't ready for unabridged Shakespeare, and Usborne makes these classics reachable to even a young audience, and so can you guess which of her favorite plays? I think we do like The Tempest, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and As You Like It, which one do you think is her favorite? So that's a great way to make it personal and fun. All right. Now, grammar counts, which Gina had already talked about as well, and seeing or green. This is a big deal for me. So this is just kind of a fun little thing that I posted because this is totally me. However, I will be the first to admit that I don't always adhere to the rules that I'm about to set forth. When you consider that we are selling books and educational materials, whether or not people should, they will judge you and our products based on the way you present yourself. And I can't tell you how important it is to your business and to your sales to really, really try to just proofread before you hit that send button. And Facebook comes with the great feature of being able to edit your posts. And so if you see that you have posted something that has a misspelling or has a grammatical error, whether you use the wrong form of they, there, go back and change it because it does make a difference. It makes a difference in all aspects, whether it's sales, bookings, or recruiting. It really, truly does. Short, sweet, and to the point. Okay, so now this quote, being a green, I have to preface, Albert Einstein didn't actually say this as an original quote. He was quoting a 17th century French poet when he said this. I did my research because I had to make sure everything was factual. But if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And that's not meant to be a critique of anyone here. That's meant to explain to you kind of how people are going to view you if things go on too long. If your party is too long, if your videos are too long, if things just kind of get long-winded and drawn out, this is sort of the natural assumption that people are going to draw, is that maybe you don't really know what you're doing or you don't really know what things are about. And not only that, but we want to keep things short because people will lose interest. So here is my timeline for my parties. My live event is 1 hour from start to finish. If I start at 8 p.m., I am done at 9 p.m. And thanks to post schedulers, that has made it a lot easier. Videos should be no longer than 5 minutes. It's really just too long if it goes beyond that. Now I will say, a day or two before my party, I will post an intro to Usborne video because that's not during the live event and people can come back and look at that whenever. I feel like there's a little bit more grace with that one because it is kind of hard to introduce people to Usborne in 5 minutes or less. But for your party videos, they really should not be any longer than 5 minutes because you want people to stay engaged and stay excited. Now, I do 40 minutes to my shopping link. So if I start my party at 9 o'clock, I have my posts timed such that I'm going to make a shopping link post at 9:40 if I start my party at 9. I'm going to give people 10 minutes to shop, and then we're going to come back at 9:50 to do the final